My bad. Far out, funky, groovy. I never said groovy. Get down. Right on, brother. Power to the people. Guys, welcome to another classic television SmackDown. We have a very, very special production here. As you can see during that opening for classic television SmackDown, we have a very, very special show. I'll come back and introduce our guests. So let's play that next opening.
Live from HWWS Web TV Studios
in sunny East Central Florida,
it's Classic Television SmackDown with your host, Mark B. Lee,
Rosemary Rose,
Jerome Connor,
guest starring award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher,
and those crazy, friendly HWWS Web TV ladies,
Sage Ia and Dina Marie.
New York Times effect on there, whether you're a brother or whether you're
Stay tuned in for this special 1970s edition of Classic Television SmackDown.
Ha, 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 stay alive, stay alive. Ha, 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 stay alive, stay alive.
Wow. We have some heavy hitters in the house tonight. Welcome, everyone, to another segment of Classic Television SmackDown. We do this show every other week, okay? Not every week, but every other week. And what we like to focus on is classic television starting from 2000 and below. We have a special show for you today because our heavy hitters are actually the team behind HWWS, which is our, excuse me for a minute, I'm trying to stay in character here, which is our carriers for a lot of the productions that we have here on HWWS Network. We are doing something incredibly special tonight. I can't wait for this. You're going to hear almost very less, if not any, of me after I do this introduction to them. But this tonight is just going to be utterly special. And I'm really looking forward to introducing you guys. As you know, we're focusing on the 70s variety shows. Okay. And our special co-host, HWWS team. I think it's probably time we bring them on now to tell us a little bit about what we're going to see tonight. You are going to rock with this show. So I'll see you guys throughout the show. But towards the end, we'll talk more about what's happening for our upcoming shows in next week. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring up the modest, okay, as in M-O-D, okay, a super mod guy, my portion of Huggy Bear, I guess you can say, Garrett Pomacher. Garrett, where are you, brother?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
Man, thank you so much for hosting this show tonight. What in God's name are you wearing?
Well, look, it has been, for those of you who are doing the math, it has been 40 years, or 50 years, excuse me, since 1970. So it's been 45 years since the 1970s. So finding 1970s appropriate apparel is very difficult. However, it just so happens that the Joker has been around a long time, so his shirt came in handy because he's got these amazing collars. And yeah. And this jacket, I know Mark has seen this before, and Jerome. This is a Babylon 5 jacket from the character
cool.
Londo Mollari.
Londo's, yes.
I was watching a few of our clips that we're going to see later on, and I was looking at some of the show host garb.
Okay, we lost you there, and we'll get him back, but I'm going to go ahead and bring up my other co-host for Classic Television SmackDown. Rose, what is that?
It's Farrah Fawcett.
Oh my God!
This is you remember this poster? Every man had this poster on their wall.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, Garrett, hold on for a sec. You have a very crackly mic, just so you know. A little on the tech side.
Okay.
So very crackly. I'm going to go ahead and talk to my co-host here while you get that ironed out, and I'm going to pull you right back in. My other co-host, the wonderful Jerome Connor, is here. Are you ready for this Saturday's night? No, Saturday. The 70s knockdown show, dude.
Hello. All right.
Jerome, you need to speak. Oh, you muted yourself. Let me unmute you. Go ahead.
I've been dancing since that opening, boy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, we showed a little bit of dance numbers there from the 70s from our favorite TV shows there.
Oh my God.
Garrett, I know.
I'm back, guys. So
yes, Garrett, we got you. Go ahead, man. Talk to us.
All right, man. So anyway, so this is a Babylon 5 jacket, and it turned out that Sonny and Cher, Donnie and Marie, a lot of stuff was left over from the 60s with the plates on the front and everything. So I 70'd up, and Sage provided me with a nice a necklace here to go with all the man meat that as it were.
Well, where's the hair, dude?
You're missing the hair.
Yeah, where's the hair, dude?
You're furry.
I believe it or not, I actually used to have a hairier chest, but I wear shirts now. I don't go out in the sun as much, so I don't have as much, which is awesome.
Well, I can't even find your camera. Oh, I see. You got another one up. That's Dina's camera. Yeah. Well, if you want to see some hair, dude, I mean, this is groovy. I don't mind,
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I can see that one.
I'm blind.
Wow. He's got that one hair right over the nip, guys.
No,
you are absolutely.
You don't want to see this. No,
you're absolutely right about the hair. Yeah, Jerome, don't do it. Don't do it, Jerome. Don't do it.
I'm not going to.
Guys, you know what? I am so grateful that you guys invited me to come and help with this show tonight, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I will be joined on screen. So everybody knows, you guys know that Sage is, Dina's over here pushing all the buttons, turning all the knobs, making things work right. Okay. There's the hand. There it is. There we go. And we'll show you guys her a little bit later on too. She's got a camera trained on her, but here in the chair, my chair is empty, but it's not going to be for long. Cause please, guys, if you're watching the show right now and you're doing your sharing and everything else, please welcome to the screen HWWS Web TV's very own Sage Ia. Yes, she did. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sage Ia is in the house.
Hello.
How
are you doing tonight?
How do you do?
Oh, I'm very good.
Oh, she's very good today. So, if you guys are not familiar with the caricature that she is currently doing, you will be later on in the show. So stick around for that. And welcome.
Thank you. That's a little too much coochie for Mark.
That's a lot of coochie for Mark. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, indeed.
Mark.
All right, guys. Wow. So yes, indeed. Guys, we are running up. We're running up on our first segment here, which is great, which is awesome, because we were just laughing and having a good time here. Okay, and but one of the things I wanted to touch on is the history. 1970s variety stands out for a big reason. Mm-hmm. It's a true shift in the entertainment paradigm on television. Up until 1970, variety shows were based on old vaudeville routines.
Yes,
and they transitioned to radio, and then mechanical television, electronic television, and in the late 1960s, they decided they wanted to target popular culture. They wanted to target a younger, more affluent audience with advertising.
Yes.
And so they went young. And in that transition moment, we have a clip. Here is kind of the final 1960s hurrah. You'll see some very distinct things that we're going to talk about during our segments tonight. Mm-hmm. But this is a transition. This is a moment when we're getting the look and feel of the 1960s variety show, but the music 70s. And the groove of the 1970s. So here's one of those final 1960s farewells. Dina, go ahead and roll our farewell to 1960.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight NBC, the Not Bad Crowd, proudly presents Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, starring Dan Rowan, Dick Martin, Ruth Buzzy, Alan Suze, and Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, see, so, and you can see the way they're dressed and everything and the way things are. Now they're starting to change the sets, though. this is a moment in transition. So Rowan and Martin are in there all dressed to the nines, like Dean Martin would have been, or any of the Danny Thomas would have been. But now we're getting a little bit hipper. And in the 1970s, we're going to throw away the tuxes until special segments. And we're going to get groovy, baby. So, but before we do that, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Okay.
Short break.
And as we take a break, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to dive into the 1970s 100%.
Right. Oh,
we're going to bring up the rest of the panel from Classic Television because they are awesome. And there he is. He's still looking. Okay, guys. So, we'll be right back right after these fantastic messages.
After these messages, we'll be right back. I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. I like to teach the world to sing with me. Perfect harmony, perfect harmony. I like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. It's the real thing. It's what the world wants today. It's the real thing.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
You're watching the most exciting game you will ever see on your TV set. Telstar by Coleco with 3 different games. Telstar Tennis with digital scoring, variable speeds. Telstar Hockey. Each player controls a goalie plus a forward on the other side. Oops, a goal. And Telstar Singles Handball, a game you play yourself. Telstar Handball, Tennis, Hockey. All 3 at an exciting low price. For great family fun, hitch your TV to a Telstar by Coleco.
All right, there. Okay. So that commercials to take you back to the 70s. That's great.
That was
fun. Jerome's probably still got his Telstar somewhere.
You're not supposed to tell that.
Wow. Well, and notice those advertisements.
I'm just glad he didn't. I'm just glad he didn't ask me. You know.
Yeah. Well, notice those advertisements. One of the reasons that I wanted to show those ads right from the get-go was because that is the reason for what was known as the purge. They changed a lot of family program, a lot of variety show programming, to make it a little hipper, to make it a little more with the times, because they wanted advertising dollars, and they wanted them from people who were going to be targeting young, affluent people, college graduates. And they were the ones that were going to the discos and doing things. And so they infused the variety show with a little less Hollywood and a little more popular culture. And when they did that, they got some amazing stuff. One of the things they got out of it, though, was the music. The music of the 1970s is so unique. It is the disco age. It's a dancing age. And you'd be remiss not to start a show about the 1970s by highlighting the music.
Oh, yeah.
And what variety show in the 1970s best highlight 1970s music?
I know.
You know, 1970s disco music is born right out of Motown. It really is. It's right out of Motown. It's dance music from Motown, and it is a whole new vibe. And you can't mention that without saying that it's infused with the modern 1960s and 1970s African-American experience. And so Mark reminded us of this when we were talking about all these variety shows. Mark said, hey, what about this one?
That's right.
And I thought, oh my God, you can't do a show about the 1970s because not mention it because this is the music from all these other shows is going to come from this show. So here you go, guys. Let's roll it. Here's the first show on our tour down memory lane.
Soul Train, the hippest trip in America. 60 non-stop minutes across the tracks of your mind into the exciting world of soul with guest stars, the Stylistics, Bobby Womack, Undisputed Truth, and the Soul Train Gang.
Look Look at that.
Oh my
Look
God!
at that. Isn't that something? Yeah.
So
Mark, I think I saw you. Weren't you in the back row there somewhere, dude?
I wish I was on that show at some point because oh my God, I grew up on that, guys. My mother, my grandmother, everybody used to dance in front of the TV trying to mimic what we saw on the screen.
Wasn't that like some Barry Gordy stuff in there? Wasn't he part of the production of that?
Yeah, it was. This was where late 1960s to early 1980s Motown came to roost on television. You know, you guys, I know a lot of folks won't remember back past the 1960s, but at that point in time, the radio was pretty mainstreamed and people were listening to music on the radio. But the artists themselves, they could sell out a stadium. But if you saw the artist walking through the mall, you wouldn't know what they looked like because it was a sound more than anything else. Unless you had an album cover to look at, you could miss your favorite artist. But the 1970s put these musical artists on, on television.
They were right there,
and they were right there for they were right there for you to see. And it was just an amazing time. And so again, musical artists who had previously been known for their records or their radio presence became television stars.
Yes, they did.
And our next clip is an example of that because these two went from being musical sensations in the late 1960s. All of a sudden, they were household names in the 1970s, and for great reason too. So here we go. Let's roll that next one.
From Television City in Hollywood.
All right. So again, guys, I tried to limit these clips to about 20 seconds so we didn't get hit with 150,000 copyright tags tonight.
Well, I got hit with one. I got hit with one. I'm answering it right now.
Okay. Well, the Sonny and Cher show was a fantastic example of artists who, their music was already in households and on radios all over the country by now. But again, you could have bumped into Cher in the street and not known who she was.
Oh, no. Cher was notorious. It was Sonny that you could have run into.
Well, no, later on, that's true, Jerome. But in 1969, people knew what Cher sounded like, but they couldn't pick what she looked like unless they had been to a concert.
She was also a model, so you could run into her and know who she was if you followed the model.
By 1980 though, both Sonny and Cher were in everybody's head, and kids knew who they were. Cher goes on obviously to have not only a fantastic musical career but a fantastic acting career as well. And Sonny goes to Congress. We got him, babe.
And then he goes and does George of the Jungle. He gets killed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so sad.
So I mean, it was one of those, but it was a great era for introducing us to people who we'd heard before, we might have seen before. So, but they kept their roots. They really did, because the variety show is all about highlighting the pomp and pageantry of Hollywood, and still having a good time with it. So you still got your Hollywood stars. And but they introduced something in the 1970s that we still use today. We used it during this show today, guys. It's called a cold opening. It's where you open the show and then you do the opener for the show. So Mark gave us a cold opening and then we opened the show. So here's a cold opening featuring some celebrities for another 1970s show.
Right on.
Hi, fellas. Interested in having a few laughs, maybe some dancing, a little music?
Well,
yes, we're interested. Very interested.
Help me out, big boy. You're in luck. It's time for the Donnie and Marie show.
I love Buddy Hackett, by the way. And see, by this period in time, Buddy Hackett and Harvey Korman are both really well known. Buddy from his film work, Harvey has been on the Carol Burnett show as a regular by now for quite some time. So this is, the idea of having your celebrities introduce your show, even though Donnie and Marie at the time, again, had been child stars through the 60s. And now they were kicking it off and they were becoming, Donnie and Marie.
Absolutely. Hey, did you see her dress in that cold opening? It was the same color as your shirt.
Yes, it's weird. It's very, very. It is a 70s. By the way, I love the outfits today. Well, Jerome looks like I did in the 70s because I just, t-shirt and whatever. I was a kid.
Please, hey Garrett, I'm sorry. Please tell Sage stop doing that. I live alone. Okay. Go ahead, Jerome.
Oh, no shimmying.
Did you bring the coochie coochie?
I brought the coochie.
Stop it!
Oh my
That's
God.
right, everybody. That's right.
No, she
there.
stood up and raised her arms and did the coochies because I saw that on
No, okay. So
I tried to find pictures of me in the 70s, but I think my father has hidden the box of photos.
I know.
I searched his house, and I swear.
Yeah, well, I can understand that because most of the shows have been done by couples or groups of people who, were not related. Donnie and Marie, brother and sister.
And those Colgate smiles.
God, the big teeth. All I can think of when I think Donnie and Marie is Jim Carrey in The Mask. That's his best Donnie and Marie impression. But I love Donnie and Marie because I was a kid, and my sister and I could sit and pretend to be Donnie and Marie. And perform for our parents. And
I'd pay to see that.
I have the vinyl from that show.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, that is awesome. So yeah, but what's great is these shows were all interconnected. You would guest on one person's show. The producer would say, "Hey, you're pretty talented. Let's see if we can get you a show." And so, such is the example with the Hudson Brothers, which is a show that's a little less known than the other ones that we mentioned.
Well, the Hudson Brothers
got their started because they had been guests on.
Yes. Well, they were music out in Oregon, and they were picked up, and they said, "Hey, you have a really good sound. Let's put you on some shows."
Yeah, and so they made the rounds. They did Sonny and Cher, they did Donnie and Marie, and then all of a sudden, after I think it was Donnie and Marie.
It was
after Donnie and Marie, the producers called them, and then they did this.
Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle Show, starring Bill, Mark, and Brett, the Hudson Brothers.
Yeah, wait, what?
I remember that.
We covered them on Saturday morning.
We covered that on Saturday mornings. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so it really did introduce some great new acts to television and to the popular zeitgeist, as it were.
Yes.
But here's what else it did. It was really great. We mentioned it was Soul Train, but we can't stress it enough because 1970s was great about diversifying television.
Indeed, they were.
So this next show that's coming up, this is a comedian that had a hard time even getting on regular talk shows in the 60s because he was known as a blue comic on the club circuit. By the end of the 1960s, he had been doing things like he done Dean Martin roasts, things that were considered a little more risque. But by the 1970s, he gets his own show. So please.
I love it.
The Flip Wilson Show.
And you know what? Flip came on and brought on some amazing guests. I think he's most noted because Flip brought to television. Now, they had done this a few times in the late 50s and early 60s, but it was usually a late night version of a variety show, and they usually got dinged for it by the producers. They would get called into the office and they'd get made, berated. Don't do that again. And then they do it again about 2 years later. But Flip introduced a drag character.
Oh, the devil made me buy this dress.
Geraldine. My dad still got that album.
That's right. He brought his drag character to primetime.
Yes.
And they left him alone.
And he was one of the most popular hosts for the variety shows in the 70s.
He really, really, really was. We got another clip from Flip Wilson to do too, because again, you can't talk about the diversification and the cutting edge of comedy and variety without this next one, because again, in the 1960s, his records were considered underground, and I know Mark probably remembers probably had these records. These records were
I did. My mother had these records. Yes, I heard them.
Yeah, because you had to buy them like literally in the back room of the record store or underground. But in 1970s, he comes on mainstream, and not only does he infuse his brand of humor onto mainstream, he becomes probably one of the 1970s premier comics in film and television. And here's just with one look. We can do it all with one look. You ready? All right. Go ahead and roll that.
Look, maybe you and I can make a deal. What would you give me for this car?
Take that off your hands?
Yeah.
Check her out for it. Let's see. Don't look like it's worth much.
Well, give me your...
No, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 50 cash.
Okay, you got a deal.
All right, there you go.
Okay,
there you go.
thanks a lot.
See you around.
Okay.
Man, I'll tell you, take him any day in the week.
Rum bum. What you doing in my car, Hunter?
One look, one line, it says it all. Richard Pryor. You got to go. These are the guys that were really pioneers, because you got to go through these guys. You don't get to Eddie Murphy without Richard Pryor.
No.
You don't get to Chris Rock without Richard Pryor. You don't get to some of our modern comics without going through Richard Pryor.
Yes.
His stuff was cutting edge, and he could do it with a look. And he introduced race relations in comedy in a way that no one was daring enough to try it before, and he did it again on television.
Yes,
in our living rooms.
Yes,
we Mark and I have talked about this many times, and we've had shows about this. In the 1970s and 80s, when we were growing up, diversity wasn't something that we deal with the way we do today. We had made huge strides, and part of that was the conversation, and it was conversation started by Richard Pryor, Flip Wilson, and so many others. Freddie Prinze Jr. These were guys that started conversations in a funny and entertaining way.
Yes, it was
that we
totally
were having.
non-threatening.
I was 7 years old listening to these conversations and enthralled. By the time I was in my teens, I was indoctrinated into this way of thinking. We're sadly missing this today, and it's wonderful. It started in the 1970s. If you're out there in network television right now and you'd like to start it up again, I had this great diverse show that's right here, right now. See this? Call us. We'll take the call.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then this next show, again, we're talking about diversity. And this next show highlights diversity right from the opening credits all the way through.
Yes.
And if you listen to the list of guest stars on this show,
I know.
During the opening sequence, you'll see this is a show that set us right. Here we go.
From Television City in Hollywood, it's Tony Orlando and Dawn, featuring Joyce Vincent Wilson and Thelma Hopkins, with tonight's guest Adrienne Barbeau and special guest star Freddie Prinze.
Right from the opening credits, right from the get-go,
Absolutely.
These guys are highlighting diversity in entertainment. It's wonderful. And we won't see this again after the 1980s and through the 1990s and early 2000s. We're not going to see this kind of diversity again until now.
That's true.
And a lot of times our millennials look at it and they say, hey, we're introducing this. And I have to shut them down, and I have to say, no,
not really.
We've been here before.
That's right.
Thank you for trying to bring us back, but we've been here before. And in the 1970s, we were really there. Tony Orlando and Dawn. Listen to the guest list there.
I know, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
fantastic.
We wouldn't have Tony Orlando and Dawn if Sonny and Cher had stayed together, but they separated and their show got canceled. And Tony Orlando and Dawn slid right into that same time slot because they still wanted the variety show.
That's right, because I Don't Got You, Babe, No More.
Oh,
but anyway, so we have that, guys. Here we go. We're going to take another little break. When we come back, we're going to talk about those guest stars.
Ooh, yeah,
because that's always fun.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Perfect sleeper. Perfect sleeper. Perfect sleeper by Serta.
Hi, I'm Joey Heatherton. Serta's Perfect Sleeper mattress is something great to sleep on. It gives you firmness and comfort. It's the perfect combination. You'll love it.
Now, instead of counting sheep, you can count on a good sleep. Be a perfect sleeper by Serta.
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
I still don't know. Does anybody know?
The world will never know.
The world will never know. Oh wait, Mark might know.
Yeah, I want to get the Rose. I'm glad she spoke up because I haven't heard from her since the broadcast here. Rose, I know you're not a 70s product or a 70s baby, shall I say? But
I was.
You were. I was polite enough to not ask you how old you are, Rose, but I am surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised because I know there are a lot of our viewers, especially people that are popping up in our chat room here, who are old enough, especially Joe. I know you're old enough, but I am a product of the 60s and the 70s, but 70s was my growing up. All of my grammar school stuff was done in the 70s. I'm a 70s educational product and went to college in the 80s.
Listen. I have this distinct memory. My parents got one of those big TVs, the ones that look like a piece of,
the cabinet
wood.
Ones.
Yeah, the cabinet. Okay, it was a big purchase for them. And I remember the first show we watched on that was Donnie and Marie. Okay, I remember this.
It was the teeth. You remember?
They plugged it in, and that was on.
Awesome. Back to you, Garrett.
All right, man. No, I wanted Rose to share that because she had said earlier in our chats and stuff that she had been a Donnie and Marie fan because that was her first, big exposure to these shows. But these shows, the one thing they kept from their 1960s tradition was they kept their ties to that Hollywood glamour. And so these shows featured a variety of guest stars
all the time.
And it's arguable that the 1970s variety show actually gave longevity to a lot of stars.
Oh, it did.
If you think about movie stars today, you could be a superstar doing one or two movies, and then all of a sudden you fade away. And that would have happened to a lot of stars from the 40s and 50s, except for the 70s variety shows brought them back as classic stars.
Yes. And we got to know them.
And in that way, a whole new generation of kids like Rose and ourselves, who we were little tykes. We were being introduced to stars that we hadn't seen until maybe, later after we saw them on a variety show. All of a sudden we'd watch a Sunday afternoon special or a Saturday afternoon movie. And all of a sudden we would go, oh my gosh, that's that guy that I saw.
Yeah, I saw them on Sonny and Cher.
Point in case, here is, so here are some guest stars here, starting with one fella that I wouldn't have known had it not been for 70s variety shows, and then me going and finding him in my teens because he'd long since left the scene, but he was always a guest star on so many shows. So here he is here's a guest star on the Brady Bunch. And of course, here's the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, another show that spun off of being on a variety show.
Yes.
The Bradys had done a song in the show. And
Two songs.
Okay. And then for whatever reason in the 70s, they thought, hey, it'd be cool if the Bradys doing music would make a special appearance on these variety shows. They appeared on
Sonny and
Cher. And the producers called them and said, give them their own show.
Hey, the ratings are so good. Let's give them
their own show. So here they are. The Bradys introducing us to some of our celebrities from the 50s, 60s, and it will become well into the 80s.
Yes.
For these guys. Yep, go.
Hey, join us, if you will, in a galactic array of memorable melodies as we salute the stars above.
Why, Peter, that's beautiful.
What? Thanks, Guy.
Don't let the stars get in your eyes. Don't let the moon break your heart.
So
wow.
There you have,
so my God.
Is that Tina Turner?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I believe so.
Turner.
Yes, it is. So you've got Tina Turner, who is a rock star in her own right by this time, and going on to become an icon in another decade, with another decade of work. But then you have Milton Berle, who was already done. He was finished. He was making guest appearances on variety shows, doing voices for here and there, and doing some stage work. But you can see how old he is right there. But he is introducing a 1970s and 80s generation to his work. And I'll go back and watch Milton Berle stuff for the next 2 decades, just because I've seen him on so many things. He's been on Sonny and Cher. He's been on the Bradys. He's been on everything. Go ahead, Jerome.
So the Brady Bunch Hour, which is what that was called, was a summer filler. I only went for about 4 episodes, and it died. And the reason why is the ratings were good, but a number of the cast members went, "We're done. have a nice life, and they bailed.
No.
Well, and we had fake Jan.
And we did. At one point, we had fake Jan.
Yeah, Eve Plummer said
no.
Robert Reed bailed fast, and you can't have the Brady Bunch without the dad. And a couple of the others just kind of went, yeah, we're done also.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the idea was that, again, they had been, they were literally promoting their sitcom work by going on to these variety shows. And the producers were like, well, hey, we love it. They're talented, to give them a show.
That's it. Well, and we love to reminisce about the Bradys.
I mean, think about how that would happen today. Today, that would be like, no. Give them like 5 years to mature. Yeah. And then we'll do a show. But, that was just, they were so interconnected back then. It was something amazing. Here's yes, sir. Yes, Mark.
Okay, I just want to go ahead and put a spacer in here right now. Just everyone is joining us right now because we are getting hit by a huge number of people right now. I just want to let you know you're watching Classic Television SmackDown here on the HWWS network here, and what we do each and every week. Stand by, I just made a mistake. Every other week, we focus on our childhood from 2000 and below in terms of television. Watch us tomorrow for Saturday morning cartoons, where we focus on cartoons back in our childhood. Back to our guest hosts for this week, the HWWS team, Garrett and Coochie. Take it away, Garrett.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to play another, these next couple of clips, like right in a row, to give you an idea. Again, these clips are about the guest stars. I've got some photos that we can play with during our last segment to show you some of the guest stars that were on these shows. But here's a couple of clips from just highlighting some guest star moments.
Good evening. This is Vincent Price. Over the years, I have been associated with tales of the macabre, stories of terror, nightmare visions of the dark side of the brain, the twisted figments of the tortured imagination, the screaming horrors of the black beyond. And then there's the captain and Tennille.
Listen, Linda, about this number you're about to do, well, none of our band has rehearsed this number.
Well, that's okay. I brought my own band.
Oh, says the frog, feeling control slipping through his fingers.
Don't worry about it, Kermit. This is one terrific band.
Oh, what kind of band is it?
Oh, it's a rubber band.
So, there she is. Wonder Woman. Oh, yes. Yes. Love it. So, again, everybody got in on this variety show thing, and the Muppet Show launched and brought children into variety.
Do you know the Muppet Show never had a repeat guest?
I didn't know that. Now I do.
Never.
That is an interesting factoid.
Specials not included.
Yes, it is.
Specials not included. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of recurring guests, that's one of the things that happened in the 1970s. Now, you guys out there that are watching us here on Facebook and YouTube or whatever, you guys are familiar with what social media has done for entertainment.
Yes.
You've got Facebook and Twitter superstars. You've got people who've been on YouTube that have never been on a mainstream television show or movie, but they're social media famous. Well, the 1970s is kind of the first time when this gets to happen because of the variety show. People who are famous on stage get an opportunity to be famous in your homes and become superstars. This next clip is one such celebrity who's already doing great on the entertainment circuit.
Oh, yes.
But became just about a household name because she guested on so many places.
Everywhere.
And so now she's iconic enough to be on the stage. So go ahead and play.
Wyatt.
I brought the Gucci.
Having you on the show.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Have you ever met Mr. Danny Thomas?
No, I haven't.
How do you do?
How do I do what?
H-A-double-R-R-G-A-N spell.
Harriga. You had to walk cool. You feel cool.
Wait a minute.
Walk, Jerry, walk.
Wait. Why do I feel like I'm working with senior wences?
And now Charo had been wildly successful in nightclubs and all over the United States.
And she was awesome in Vegas.
And that's and in Vegas, and that's where these guys had seen her. And literally, once she made the first couple talk shows she was a regular guest on a whole variety of talk shows. We couldn't get enough. There were so many clips we couldn't pick enough. Because
my favorite is Carol Burnett.
Yes,
that was the Carol Burnett clip was awesome, and that was a whole skit, by the way. That's like a 5.5 minute skit. It's amazing. So, but it's, and of course the last one I think is 1979, 1980, and that was on Jerry Lewis
on his telethon,
Jerry Lewis telethon, where she actually taught Jerry one of her dances.
Yes.
So that's
fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Finding these was a lot of fun to do. Guys, as we're coming up on the last segment, I want to talk to all of our wonderful hosts here who have brought us on the show tonight about their favorite 70s memories. And so we'll do that right after one final break for some more fun.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I'm GW Pomacher.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
Abba.
It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please, please, please subscribe.
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 Please subscribe to HWWS
Web TV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon. So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million and 10 million and 100 million.
On HWWS
Web TV.
You'll really like it. I guarantee it. Thank you.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts. Peter Paul, Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Regular, cinnamon, and raisin life. Nutritious, delicious.
I fell in love with that gal, Minnie Pearl. Where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and thought I found true love. You met another
All right, we're back, guys. The last clip right there, I brought in just for Rose.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Yes. So, because that's again part of our topics, part of our research was showing that. So, in the 1970s census, some 68% of Americans lived in urban communities, big, cities, even small cities. Like upstate New York, Syracuse or Utica. Or the big cities, New York, Los Angeles, Miami, etc. Some almost 68% lived in big cities. The rural community where things, what used to be in the 1970s referred to as country and Western music was really, really big. These were spread throughout the country, and they were looking for something of their own. And shows like Hee Haw introduced the urban audiences to the rural music and traditions. Yeah. And Nashville, in 1970, when my mom was in Nashville for a record contract, and it was a town that she doesn't recognize today. If she goes to Nashville today, it is an entirely different. It's an urban center in Tennessee, and it's music central.
Well, a lot of people were unfamiliar with it, and Hee Haw was so popular, especially when it was syndicated, that a lot of the folks in New York City loved to watch Hee Haw.
They did.
And they got exposed to that music.
These are past the things that you guys will hear of today. So in the late 1990s, Garth Brooks played a concert in Central Park for free. He had 600,000 people in Central Park watching Garth Brooks, a country western singer. You can't get to Garth without going straight through Hee Haw.
That's right.
Because that introduces the urban audiences to the rural traditions and the rural music of the day. And it mixes it together so that, you have Hee Haw one night of the week, Sonny and Cher another night, and Soul Train the next night.
Mhm.
So we're really becoming a melting pot of people
Exactly.
in our popular
You never know
culture.
what you're going to find.
So, so I'm glad that Rose brought that up when we were chatting online, because Hee Haw was a great find, and we wanted to share that. But this segment, we wanted to ask you guys, what are your favorite memories, your favorite shows from the 1970s? Start with Mark. Mark, you were a teen, man. You were groovy. So tell us, what was your
okay. Back it up, pup. Okay, I was not a teen. All right, there was literally 9 years between when I was born, okay, and when the greatest era of television entertainment began. Okay, in all honesty, but what the hell was your question?
Tell us. Wait, 9 years. That's straight up. Those are formative years, though. 10, 11, 12.
Yes.
15, and by the way, 13, 14, 15, teen
I got
years.
it. I got it.
All right.
Okay, pup. I got it.
Get his attention.
I did.
Okay. Okay. So tell us, what were your favorites in the 1970s?
Oh my God, there was just so many. I was a big Mary Tyler Moore fan. Okay, I was huge on that, and of course all the spinoffs from there. But definitely Soul Train, definitely Flip Wilson. My God, there was just so many great shows, from Good Times to the Jeffersons, that came up out of the 70s, for God's sakes, and people are still singing those theme songs today as we speak.
Yeah.
And it's just the imprint that at that era that just left on society today. It was just one of the coolest eras.
And it is it's so unique. It is so unique, Mark. I mean, it's when we were looking at these things, from the clothing and the music and the style, it stands out. I mean, when I look at the 80s, I think the 80s has a lot of 1950s elements, has a lot of 1940s elements in fashion and music. But you look at the 70s, there's nothing like it. There hasn't been anything since.
Yeah, and
I don't
if
think
I could add,
Right.
And if I could add, being raised by a parent who came from the fads of the 60s into the fads of the 70s, she's basically kept note of what the current trends were. And she dresses around Easter time. Everybody goes out and they buy the new suits for Easter. My mother had the greatest freaking taste in the world. And I would not have remembered that had that there not be photographs of me as a young boy dressed to the T's in 70s attire.
Absolutely.
I honestly don't remember having high-heeled shoes, but I was a disco dancer in the 80s. Yes, I was. I was a disco dancer in the 80s, so I had to keep up with a lot of the trends.
I can see Mark boogieing.
Oh,
I can.
I wish they had camera phones back then, because we would have. Oh my goodness,
dude! You know he was a cool cat.
That was awesome. Rose, how about you? What were your favorites? What favorite variety shows in the 1970s as a kid?
As a kid, well, Hee Haw was one of them, because those kind of shows, in the 70s, that was our entertainment for the evening. I mean, my parents put out the blanket. I was in front of the TV, and we were all in the living room watching Sonny and Cher. We watched the Osmonds, a Carol Burnett show, just all kinds of variety shows. That was the event. It was an event, like The Wizard of Oz. Movies were events on television. They were something that we did as a family. We didn't even have a movie theater in our town. We only had a drive-in movie theater. So just like the movie started at 10 o'clock in the evening. So I rarely went to the movies until the 1980s, when they finally put in a theater in our town. Otherwise, I had to go to Miami, okay, because I live South Miami. So in the 70s, this was just, they were events. It was a big part of my childhood. I would remember playing with my little figures on the floor, watching Hee Haw and singing along with the songs. So, I mean, now these days you don't have that. You don't have variety shows, and you don't have families coming together in the living room to watch shows together.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
I missed that. That was my childhood. So the 70s were a very big deal to me, and those shows have a special place in my heart. I like the sitcoms and the stuff too. We were, Happy Days, All in the Family, Mary Tyler Moore. We watched all those. So it was family viewing. So that's lost these days. But
it is lost. It's a shame. This generation really hasn't given us a lot of what we saw and
Joe,
still
I
love
watched that
today from
show
the past.
every night. I watched
Ooh.
the Muppet Show every time it was on.
Same here.
Yeah, a great show. Loved it.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah. Okay. So Jerome, my man, just Jerome's turn. Favorite variety shows, 1970s, man. Favorite moments there.
Well, I was a Captain and Tennille fan. Okay.
Hey.
So what was funny is their songs weren't that great. Okay, I mean they were popular songs, and they would just recycle the stuff off their albums.
Oh, come on, Don't Go Breaking My Heart was an awesome hit.
Muskrat Love, etc. But the problem with what I liked about them was they had some decent writers because their comedy sketches were pretty good. You know, I have to say for the Captain and Tennille, they did some really good comedy. You know, some of the stuff I still remember today. But also 1975, when a brand new show that's still on the air today came out called Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. That's a variety show. Yeah. So that was yeah. I snuck downstairs. I remember Saturday Night Live because I was in like 6th and 7th and 8th grade in that whole time frame. Donnie and Marie were big. I mean, I still got the vinyl album of that show from the music, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. Yeah, don't talk to me about purple socks.
Focus, Jerome.
I remember watching Flip Wilson because Flip Wilson's show was great because it wasn't done in a traditional thing. He was like on a stage surrounded by the audience, if you noticed, which was a unique way to do that. And then there was all the other stuff. But my father made me watch the most horrifying show of the 1970s in syndication, pseudo variety. And it's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and the lovely Lennon sisters, Lawrence Welk.
Oh my God.
Interestingly enough,
it's
great that you say that because Lawrence Welk is actually the single longest running variety show of all time.
Yes, it is.
And it was interesting because Lawrence Welk and Lawrence Welk was one of the first victims of the purge when they shifted formats, and they dropped it from the schedule originally, but it became so popular in syndication.
Yeah, he went from 71 to 80 something in syndication.
It became so popular in syndication that they brought him back for more because they had dropped him thinking, well, he's not going to fit in. Like as Jerome said, he's not going to fit into this new modern era. But it was his guest musicians and, again, nostalgia. People were going back and looking at things.
Well, and he made a spectacle.
Yes, he did do that.
Even in the 70s, is one that, and I don't know if he was a guest or he got his own show, was Liberace was always on these shows.
He was a great guest star. He was a guest star on a lot of them.
I don't remember if he had his own show at one point or not, but I know he was like everywhere on those shows.
I think he had his specials. I think he had a couple specials.
Yeah.
But he was
same thing. You saw the Charo clip with Dean Martin and Danny Thomas, and that was part of a special that was on because Dean Martin had been canceled as part of the purge. However, he came back for holiday specials all the time.
What's especially, which is interesting, is how you're talking about the culture slipped into everything, especially the music. I remember watching the Miss Universe pageant and Burt Parks singing "Don't Go Breaking My Heart." Okay, you want to talk about horrified? I would have funny. I mean, you talk about horrifying to watch Burt Parks singing that.
Joe's comment is awesome too.
I know. He can say what he wants, but every kid in my class stayed up and
I was 7, so we enjoyed the hell out of it at 7 years old. However, though, I will say this. Joe's right on the money, though, because that is one of those examples. Again, all these things are interconnected. So the Star Wars guys had been making the rounds. They did the Muppet Show. Yep. They did Donnie and Marie. They did all of the variety show rounds. And so many kids tuned in and so many moms and dads tuned in with them that they just thought, hey, this would be great. So when the holidays came around,
oh boy,
that's what they did. They did a Star Wars holiday special, but they did it as a variety show.
That's right.
And it obviously didn't play very well back then, but it did for the kids. I was a 7-year-old.
Grade class watched that.
It brought us Boba Fett.
It brought us Boba Fett. Damn it.
Hey,
and,
I think.
and B. Arthur and Harvey Korman guest starred.
Absolutely, yes.
Hey, I can sing every word to Maud.
Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
I love Maud.
I think that's impressive.
That
I can
is
sing every word. By the way,
you know what else is impressive, guys? Our audience members. Our audience members, they were alive, some of them in the 1970s. They were kids, they were teens, they were young adults.
They were.
And they were alive. So we want to show you some of the pictures that were submitted to the show tonight.
Yes. Oh, they're so wonderful.
Dating back from the
them
1970s. I'm gonna, I'll victimize myself first.
Don't do it.
Here we go.
Don't do it.
Here I am. I was a tiny little wee thing. This is, I think, 1970, maybe 73, 74.
Don't do it.
So this is
Don't
me.
do it.
And then, of course, my mom and dad in 77 at my first communion. So go ahead and
whoa, wait. I need a drink. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
get it.
here we go.
All right, Steven, when you're ready. Go ahead.
Ah!
That's my head is cut off. We can all tell that my parents like my sister better than me. They chopped my head off.
Oh, which one are your parents?
On the left hand, left of the screen is that's my mom.
Garrett,
in her tinted sunglasses, and my dad, Al Culp, at my first communion. So,
Garrett, did you go to your sister all the time going, "Mom liked you best"?
No, my sister beat me up regularly.
She did it. It's fun to watch. She still does it.
Yeah, she still does it
That
today.
a girl.
And we can't, but it's the 70s. And again, without the elder statesman in the room has to get his due. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mark B. Lee and Mama Lee in the 70s.
Which one's me?
Good.
Wow, your mom had quite the fro.
That's right.
Hey,
now, remember, guys, 5 years from now, Mark's going to have the same haircut as his mom.
Well,
remember that. Right? See?
Well, it's all gone now.
That's right. And our one and only Rosemary Rose.
Yes.
Really?
has some pictures in here. So
I went to see.
So I guess he's scrolling over there. He's doing work. Oh, there we go. Rosemary Rose. I dig the pants.
I love it. The bell bottoms.
That's right. Love the bell bottoms and the jumpsuit on the other side.
Dude, bell bottoms.
What the hell
are so
happened?
cool.
What the hell happened to the hair color?
It changed when I turned 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, children tend to do that too. They leach the blonde out of your hair.
It's true.
Wow.
It is. So okay. Speaking of jumpsuits and blonde hair, Sage Ia was a child of the 70s, a little tiny child.
I was a baby.
She was a wee thing. So where is she here? There we go. There is Sage and Marianne. That's Sage's mom and dad. Terry and Marianne.
The car.
And then over by the car, that is little Miss Sage.
That is me. I was
Hey, did she get punished for writing on the wall? Put that back up.
oh no, that wasn't the wall. That was on the picture.
Yes, my mother wrote on every photograph we
yeah.
owned. Like we would forget who we were.
Yeah,
I got it.
No, you never know. You could have forgotten.
That car was more her
That's
baby
right.
than I was.
And of course, you guys behind the thing, turning all the knobs and pushing all the buttons is the one and only Dina Marie. But she too was a child of the 70s. She couldn't find any of her, when she was a little bit bigger, but she did find a baby picture and a picture of her folks that were all gussied up.
Okay.
Oh no!
I
Look
love
at the
tie.
size of that tie.
It's so wide.
Look at the size of that tie, and that's Dina on the left there. That's Dina.
Oh, she's got a Pebbles bone ribbon in her hair.
Oh yeah. She's ready, baby.
Oh, she's so cute, man. Sexy thighs.
But it wasn't just our on-screen talent that submitted some stuff. No. That's right.
Fond viewers.
That's right. We have our fond viewers.
Yeah.
Cheryl is in the feed for every show.
Yes.
And
my girl. That's
she's
my girl.
always there for us. And here she submitted us some pictures of the 1970s.
Oh, that was quick.
She was there. There you go.
There she is. There she is.
God.
She's actually she's looking pretty stylish there.
Telling you.
She could pull a lot of that off well up into the 80s, I think.
Love
Steven didn't like her that much?
On her dates.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That's so cute. I like that.
And another Saturday morning cartoons and classic television SmackDown regular is Miss Lorraine, and Lorraine sent us a photo. Now,
yes, she did.
Now this isn't, this doesn't have to be the 70s, although it is. But she was stylish all the way around. She could have carried it through a little longer. She could have gone into the 60s. She could have gone to the 80s. You never know. So here's Lorraine. See that?
There she is.
That's right. And she does look like she's going to whoop somebody's ass, though.
I love the collar.
I got to tell you, Lorraine, you scare me because I had a nun that looked a lot like that, and she would.
I was about to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, you remember the movie in the 70s? Put that back up for me, Steven. Remember the movies in the 70s, The Exorcist? Okay, well,
yeah.
That actually was the woman who was protecting the young Damien there. That's exactly who you are.
Yeah.
Lorraine.
I'm telling you. Wow.
Lorraine, you can kick Mark in the behind anytime.
Yeah. Well, she looks like she's gonna too. She's coming. She's coming for him.
Yeah.
She's coming for Mark.
All I hear is that background music.
Now, a great so one of our HWWS Web TV Hanging with Web Show alums, one of our great guests, author, writer, and friend, Bill Hatfield. Now, Bill was a little older than the rest of us in the 70s. So
a lot older. I hope you're watching, Bill. You were a lot older.
Yeah, he should be.
Bill,
that's right, Cookie Man.
Go ahead. Bill Hatfield.
You still have bearskin.
Here's Bill Hatfield. Before before all the books and everything else. Look at him, man. He is dig that. Look at that green vest.
He was a rebel back then. Bill was a rebel.
He was a musician. That's why.
That's true. He
was.
He
was a musician. There's his lovely wife there.
Cool. All right. Bill's cool. Yeah. So Bill Hatfield is very cool. And thank you guys from the chat for submitting your pictures of you in the 1970s. We're up against the hour, guys. We've had
You're doing fine.
And I know we'll probably continue to talk a little bit more, but I wanted to make sure that what we did, we had a chance to just wrap up what we were doing with all of our stuff here. So Mark, thank you for having us on, man. We really do appreciate it.
You're not done yet. We're not done with you yet because we need to challenge you guys here a bit because you did show a number of variety shows tonight. But I'm just wondering how many other variety shows do people remember back in the
I'd love
70s?
to see that in the chat. Dina, show us the chat. Guys, in the chat, go ahead. Tell us about shows that you might remember. If we have a clip, maybe we'll get a chance to play it. If we don't.
We can go around the board here for now. But Rose, I'll start with you. If anything that HWS crew hasn't shown tonight, what do you remember if that wasn't shown? Go ahead.
Okay, there was a really unique show called Shields and Yarnell.
Shields and Yarnell.
The mimes. Yeah.
Yes, I love
it. That was on our
right
list,
after
but we
Sonny
couldn't
and
find a clip.
Cher.
Yeah,
I had a crush on the
list,
girl.
Clip.
Okay, I had a crush on the girl. I really did have a crush on the girl.
How about you, Jerome?
Okay, Jerome.
What do you got?
I remember these were not like regular series, but I remember all the Bob Hope specials.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Sure.
There were tons of those in the 70s, and those were like in variety format. I also remember. I watched the Dean Martin show. I watched that one, and that attempted to be hip a number of times. And I remember Flip Wilson. I remember, like I said, the previous Captain and Tennille and Donnie. I watched a couple of the Tony Orlando and Dawn ones, but I didn't care for them. By the way, Willow, the answer is Laugh-In.
Laugh-In, that's right.
Laugh-In, of course.
Late
American
1960s.
classic.
Yeah, which had a few, had a presidential candidate on it.
So
Talk it to me.
In the history portion of this, we talked about how, the late 1960s, they were looking for another audience, a younger, hipper audience. Mm-hmm. And that was so true. However, one of the things they realized in the 1970s was that you didn't have to give up your old audience and that nostalgia sells.
Oh, yes.
They took a page out of the regular television book where we had shows that were like Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days that were doing so well selling nostalgia after American Graffiti. So here's the opening to a show that is the 1970s looking backwards at the 1950s.
Roll the tape.
Yep.
Roll the tape. What do you do?
Hey, you greasers. It's the Sha-Na-Na Show. Yeah. Starring who else? Sha-Na-Na.
Oh my God, yeah.
Grease was really big too at that time.
Grease, yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Grease.
They were on Grease also. In Grease also.
Yeah, there was a big 50s craze through the 70s. The 50s was seen as this idyllic era and sort of an age of innocence.
Ironically, Happy Days, which started the television side of all that, was not based off of American Graffiti.
Oh, no, not at all.
It was influenced by it, but it was actually a spin-off, sort of, from a show called Love American Style.
Yep.
And the episode was called Love and the Happy Day.
Yep.
And it was actually the focus on Popsy, not Richie.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Other than that, I know we're shying away from the variety end of this, but that was great with the Sha Na Na. But since we did talk about basically shows in the 70s, which we're going to have to do on Classic Television SmackDown, which we would do in a favorite. I was a huge Waltons fan.
Oh yeah.
I was a huge Waltons fan. Oh my God,
night,
I
John
wouldn't
Boy.
miss it.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss an episode, and for years I watched and loved that show. But to get back on track here in terms of variety shows, I was thinking that nobody had mentioned. We did mention during the show, but in terms of this questioning, no one mentioned Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
Okay, because everybody watched. Carol
We do
Burnett
have
show.
guys. We have the opening there for Carol Burnett. So
We do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, go ahead and scroll her.
From Television City in Hollywood, it's the Carol Burnett Show. With Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, and Tim Conway.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable.
I have a personal story about the Carol Burnett Show. In the late 1960s, some of these stars would go over to Vietnam and entertain the troops. And my dad got to be Vicki Lawrence's driver.
That's
cool.
so awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah. He's got lots of pictures. Trust me, he was a huge Vicki Lawrence fan.
I love
Great.
Vicki Lawrence
I
on that
love
show.
What other big influences for you, Mark?
Oh my God, we're talking variety. We're still on
Variety,
variety,
yeah.
show,
Yep.
right? Well, I did mention when we talked about Soul Train. I think Solid Gold Dancers was in the 80s.
1980,
80s, that was
1980
80s.
to 84.
Yes.
Okay, so all right, okay. So I think anything other than that was basically everything that was mentioned.
What about Dance Fever? Danny Terrio?
I remember Dance Fever.
That was kind of late 70s, early 80s, maybe.
Yeah, that was late 70s.
It was on for a long
He got a
time.
good start in the late 70s. But that was a dance show. Again, you can't get to Dancing with the Stars and those things without going through there.
Well, that's true.
But all of that starts. I think we hit the nail. All of that starts with Soul Train, which, by the way,
It does.
We have another Soul Train clip.
Yeah,
which
but
is, got the train and everything.
That's
I
it
love,
for Mark.
Oh, yes.
There you go. Let's get it. There you go.
Soul Train, the hippest trip in America. 60.
I
There you
have
go.
to honestly admit that some of the dance steps that you saw in Soul Train, I do not perform today. Okay, just letting you know that. Look, if I was at someone's wedding reception, you're not gonna have me going down a freaking dance line, doing those Soul Train steps. I'm not gonna do it.
I
Okay?
think it's more of he's just old and can't bend like that anymore.
Well, that's another part of it right there too. I would break, you would literally hear something break on me. Okay.
My dad loved Soul Train. It was just he would put it on in the background, and I had that when I was looking for clips. I saw a couple of the different intro clips, but I looked for that train clip because I remembered that from being a 6-year-old kid watching that over and over again with my dad.
One of the things that's interesting about Soul Train was in some markets it actually aired after American Bandstand on Saturday mornings.
I remember that.
And a lot of people thought that Soul Train came about because American Bandstand was no longer relevant. It wasn't hip. It wasn't playing the more modern musics. And the guys at Soul Train just saw an opportunity and jumped, which America is grateful for.
Yeah, no, it really was. That was the whole idea behind the variety show shift in the 1970s was everything had been targeted for older people, 30s and 40s through the 50s and 60s. Those were the ones considered by, Tide and dish soap commercials and Carnation milk.
Instant milk.
Yeah. Those were the ones considered to be the purchasers.
Powdered milk.
But in the 1970s, studios realized that people were going to spend money on cereal for the kids and young kids. They were going to spend money on candy bars. They were going to spend money on Coca-Cola. And in order to get those advertising dollars, they had to reach the people who were going to spend those dollars.
Yes.
And those were young, usually college educated out of the 60s, young adults. And they wanted to hit that audience. And they hit it. They hit it well, obviously, because as children of those people, we grew up on this stuff as
we watch.
So they obviously did a great job because this is stuff that we can talk about with relevance even here in 2020. So,
hey guys, FYI, I'm assuming that Warner Brothers hit us for that last 40 seconds. They're claiming 40 seconds.
Yeah,
and it must have been that Soul Train clip. Maybe it was a Soul Train clip. I don't know.
It was worth it.
It was worth it. It was well worth it. That's right.
I think we know it by heart. I'm not even going to challenge this dispute. So forget it.
I think good. You know what, Warner Brothers, you are absolutely right. Yes. We stole your shit.
That's why we saved it to the end.
Enjoyed it. We enjoyed every minute of it. And we still will. And we still will.
Bravo, Garrett.
I think that's about it for us. I know we're probably set on the other side of this, but we went ahead and did a 1970s end credits for the show. We'll probably come back on the other side and Mark will quiz us some more or whatever. But in the meantime, guys,
no, let's do this. Let's do this first. Let's go ahead and say what I need to say to the audience right now and end with that clip that you prepared.
Oh, all right. Okay. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our show. We'll go ahead and show our credits, but don't forget Saturday morning cartoons first thing tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We will be there. This is Rose's show, and her topic for her is what, Rose?
We are going to do failed cartoon TV pilots, which was my daughter's idea, and she helped me get that all together. It's going to be fun. So
that sounds good. And guys,
be prepared.
Okay, guys, make sure you pick up all the broadcasting, all the produced shows on HWWS. There's a lot of content that you guys need to follow up with. Find us on Facebook. If you haven't already, just type in Google and we'll pop up almost immediately. Other than that, we have Mark Knows Everybody next Wednesday, and then the following Friday is another Mark's Knows Everybody, and then it'll be Jerome's turn on that following Saturday. But just concentrate with getting up and getting your bowl of cereal for tomorrow morning. I want to thank Sage. Oh my God, boy, do I want to thank Sage. But anyway, stop it. Anyway, so
it's a wonderful show, guys.
I didn't know that she could do that. I didn't know she had that talent in her. Anyway, Garrett, fantastic.
We want to thank. We want to thank. True story. Yeah. We want to thank Sage's mom, Marianne, for this ensemble.
Yeah. Whoa. What was she doing with that, man?
I'm not allowed to tell you.
No. But
well, I think I want to meet you. I think I want to meet your mom.
How do you think
I think that you do.
How do you think Sage came about?
Hey, hold on for a sec.
Sage,
can you do me a favor? Can you stand up? Believe me.
Hold on. Let me go first because I have to adjust the camera here. All right, go.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, we don't.
You hold on a minute.
Okay. I like the accent. Turn around. I'm not selling you to an Arab. Okay. I'm not selling you to an Arab. That is fantastic.
I got you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Classic Television SmackDown also provides our own costuming. So. We have a huge costuming department. That's how we came up with what we're wearing today.
Our costuming department is whining that he's got to have a drink before bed, apparently.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of him, and I honestly think the blood flow to my head has stopped. So we better end this.
We better end.
Headband.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, HWWS. Fantastic job. Bravo. Emmy-winning work. Appreciate it a lot.
All right.